Good morning, everyone. I hope you're able to hear me properly. If not, write no in the chat box, and if you can hear, write yes. So, we'll just begin our accelerating session on cracking NTA UGC net PYQ explanation. I hope you are all ready and already had breakfast or you have coffee with you. So, anyway, as I said, today what we are going to do, I have one mnemonic for to remember the order of the poet laureate, and I hope so. Here are the list of poet laureate, and we are going to remember that in particular order. And how are we gonna do that? We are going to remember this by a mnemonic. So one mnemonic I have posted in your chat box, and it is: dashing squirrels take naps, rolling walnut and chestnut. Simple. uh, dancing squirrel take naps, rolling walnuts and chestnut. Simple, right? I hope you will remember the code, and what it represent is here in fact. So dashing represent who's dashing? Dryden. And squirrel represent Shadwell, and Nahum Tate represent Take, and Nicholas Raw represent Nap, and Lawrence Euston represent Rolling, and Collie Sibber represent Walnut, and William White had represent uh, and Thomas Wharton represent Chestnut, Henry James represent. So you should remember that this mnemonic: dashing squirrel take naps, rolling walnut and chestnut. So that is just I came up with. Anyway, one. So till here, Henry James Pye we remember, and after that we have Robert Southey, right? From here, Robert Southey, because in fact from here we need to remember, because sometimes they ask from that. So one mnemonic that I'm going to post in a chat box, it's the name, but as so check your chat box now, and then we'll move. So one is here: Southworth Wordsworth. Simple, right? Southworth Wordsworth. So Sade and then Wordsworth. Then there is a bridge called Tennyson Austin Bridge. So one is Southworth Wordsworth. There is a bridge, Tennyson Austin Bridge, where in Masefield, and Day Levitz, Benjamin Hugh, Motion, Duffy, Armitage. So in that way you can remember. So anyway, this is all about your poet laureate, and as we'll just continue our class, and that is question number 51. We have discussed in our previous class somewhere around 50 questions, and today we are going to start with 51. Well, question number 51 says, and which is in your screen, it is about neuro-linguistic programming. So this neuro-linguistic programming is neuro in NLP means that our sensory experiences determine our behavior. So these are the statements which are given here, and we have to find which one is the correct in the context of neuro-linguistic programming. So grammatical knowledge is a matter of practice, and Richard Bandler's and John Grinder developed NLP in the 1970s. This topic you might find a little bit challenging, because it is like it is from language and linguistic. Therefore you might find a little bit challenging, but remember, if you know one or two options, that might help you to ultimately reach in to the correct option. All right then. Neuro covers invisible thoughts, invisible physiological reaction, or all of the above. So we have to choose. If it is all of the above, then we have to say only E. But as we say, we don't know much about it. So here in the explanation, very informative explanation is there, and we have to pay attention for it. So anyway, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, and it is a pseudo-scientific approach to communication. We'll just know what is NLP. NLP is by Richard Bandler in 1975 book. Here, what answer did we have here? 70s, so that is correct. And also Richard Bandler, so C is correct for us. C is only in two option, and of course we have to know what is a neuro means, that sensory experience determine our behavior. So here A is correct, C is correct, and why D is correct? Because it says neuro covers invisible thought and visible physiological reaction. So here it says that acquired behavioral pattern programming, and that these can be changed to achieve specific goals in life. So good morning, Anjali. Anjali is already here in the class, and that's very good. And I hope others will join later or very soon. Anyway, so you see, according to Bandler and Grinder, NLP can treat problems such as phobias, depression, tic order, there is psychosomatic illness, nearsightedness, allergy, the common cold, and learning disorder. So these are the other things. That explanation I'll send in your this, especially that about NLP, because you might find this quite a strange topic for you. And NLP is quite important, because we have already seen 2 or 3 questions in net. So it is our responsibility that we should have little bit knowledge about it, so it will be easy for us to perform well in the exam if these kind of question appear. Okay? So NLP has also been acknowledged as having influenced these practices with its reframing technique, which seeks to achieve behavior change by shifting its context or meaning. For example, by finding the positive connotation of a thought or behavior. And here question number 52 is in your screen, and for that it is actually restoration. It is about restoration comedies, and what is happening there, that we have who among the following has authored the Revenger's Tragedy. And I guess this work you might have heard previously, and it's actually quite important play, and this is a Jacobean play. And as I said before, in Jacobean drama you might find at least 2 to 3 questions, uh, if not two, at least one is like certain you will get from Jacobean drama. And that Jacobean drama, and in fact the Revenger's Tragedy, is equally important play at that time. So anyway, so who wrote the Revenger's Tragedy? It was Cyril Turner. And simple plot I have also mentioned here, and this is about, so the Revenger's Tragedy, as we know, it's a Jacobean revenge play. One more thing I want to talk about: the Revenge Tragedy actually started with Nitish says, and thank you so much Nitish, it means a lot, and thank you so much. And I hope you'll learn more about it. So here again we are talking about the Revenger's Tragedy. So Revenger's Tragedy, as I said, it's Jacobean revenge tragedy. And remember the date also, 1606. And as we know, at that time there were so many plays. Even Shakespeare has published at that time, right? So one question we will definitely get from Jacobean play, and maybe that could be about Thomas Middleton or Webster, Fletcher and Haywood. So all these dramatists you should know about, so in the exam you will not feel like you didn't study. So anyway, I was talking about what it was long attributed to Cyril Turner, but the concession candidate for authorship of the Revenger's Tragedy at present is Thomas Middleton, although this is a knotty issue that is far from settled. Anyway, a vivid and often violent portrayal of lust and ambition in an Italian court. So anyway, we are not talking about here too much about it. You just remember the Revenger's Tragedy is by Cyril Turner. And question number 53, we have to remember the correct pair. We have to find in the given list, there are 5, and we have to find which is the correct pair. And as I said, every time you don't have to remember all the plays, and you feel okay, I don't know 2 plays, how will I answer whatever 2 work, how will I answer the rest, I mean them. You don't have to, you only have to know at least 2 in that list. At 2, if you know even 2, it will be easy for you to answer. So anyway, here say in the option it says like third option is correct and A pair is correct. The Boyfriend is by Juliet Banerjee, and C, The Other Woman and Other Stories by Deena Mehta. And of course many of you heard about Deena Mehta, and also you heard about Siddharth, and he wrote The Yankee and the Yogi, quite famous work in recent time. So what we are gonna do, we will just have a look about all these author here. And Juliet Banerjee is the author of The Boyfriend and the Other Short Stories. So basically she's a short story writer and coming from Kolkata. She was born in Kolkata, so, and she has lived with her family in Sydney. So she was born in Calcutta, but she is from Australia. So The Other Woman and Other Stories, a work by Deena Mehta, and of course Siddharth, which was published in 1981, was the name of, and it's a short story collection, The Yankee and the Yogi and Other Stories. So we have all the explanation here, that you don't have to go and wonder somewhere else for the content. So You see, in every question what we have like so many things you learn. It's not like they are asking one question and we only get like about one, knowledge about one thing. But it's not like that. You are actually uh, growing your knowledge if you're solving PYQ. And as I said, we have four options and they are somehow interrelated to each other. It's not like a random option that they have given. It's well made question paper. All of net, I mean, previously it was not like that, but these days it's very, and as I say, it's all started from like 2008 or something, uh, the question. So these uh, all are very important option, and now uh, they are all repeating and making it more interesting. So you should always solve PYQ. And anyway, we'll just start question number 54, and here it is talking about Gautara Bahadur wrote an autobiography novel titled Drop. I mean, this question is kind of drop question. And why it was dropped? The coolie women. So Gautara is actually Guyanese American writer, and she is best known for Coolie Woman, the Odyssey of Indenture. So quite new. And why it is important? Because it was shortlisted for Orwell Prize. As we know, Orwell wrote not only science fiction but also like post apocalyptic era, the story he has published, and also political writing. He is quite famous for it, and Coolie Woman also was written by, so Coolie Woman, another is written by who? Book is a biography of Sujaria. An Era of Darkness is by Shashi Tharoor, and the publication of Subramani's Dauka Puran and Rama's Banishment is by Vijay Sharma. So question number 55, it's about statement. Two statements are given here and you have to find out which of these are correct and which of these are not correct. So statement 1 says the teaching of non-native literature to the students of English language teaching is arid, and the negative response in ELT classroom can create an interesting situation. So negative response, how negative response will actually create an interesting classroom situation, and that's if something is a negative, how it create an interesting class. So that might little bit confuse you, and in the answer it says both statements are correct. So we will have little bit explanation. So here there is no explanation. I'll just find out a little bit about it and send it in the WhatsApp group. So what is meant by corporate author? Corporate author is simply who produced by an institution or an association or a government agency, right? Or a writer who writes a matter or corporate affairs. That also could be. And here is the answer. When a work has a corporate author, substitute the corporate name for an individual author within the text and references. Alright. And question number 57 says, which of the following novels have represented Anglo-Irish relation in the 20th century? So which of the following novels have represented Anglo-Irish? So it's talking about Anglo-Irish. And from first, how you're going to judge, you are just going to judge by the name first. Like J.G. Farrell, it is always talks about, and J.G. Farrell, two works of J.G. Farrell is there, May Sinclair and Geoffrey Furnall and Elizabeth Bowen. And you, if you have little bit like biographical knowledge of a particular writer, you might be able to answer many questions. And as I said, you only need to know one or two works of these author or about these author, and then you will be able to answer. As I said, if you are aware of J.G. Farrell, his topic mostly are about Anglo-Irish relationship, and with that you can, but the problem here is they have put two option of J.G. Farrell, so that might confuse you. So it can be the siege of Krishnapur or the Troubles. So with that we have to find. So little bit about Elizabeth Bowen is that just 1 second. No, I'll just come back. Just 1 minute, and I'll be here. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the. So what we were talking about? We are talking about Anglo-Irish. First, you have to find, as I said, one or two author you have to remember. So Elizabeth Bowen is actually Irish. So in that case, if you know about a little bit biographical background of Elizabeth Bowen, these answer will be easy. So where is A? A is actually in 3 option, and we can just eliminate at least 3, and we'll just increase our chance by getting right by 30%, right? 33% we might get right, and if we eliminate one more, we might have 50% chance of getting the right answer. So let's remove the other one, and as I said, one more option. Where is CD? CD, it seems in all the options are there, right? So what we can do, we can just apply A and C. A, C, D, where is it? A, C, D is so it seems C is not there. We can just simply answer with A and C, right? Answer is there already, but we are just trying to reach the conclusion why it is the correct one. So Elizabeth A is correct because she is Irish and she always talks about Anglo-Irish, and similarly we have J.G. Farrell, and we are actually confused which one of these are. So seems like Troubles are there. So answer A and C. So here a little bit explanation about it. The Last September is actually a novel by Irish writer, here Irish, Anglo-Irish, Elizabeth Bowen, and concerning life in Tenelstown, Cork during the Irish War independence at a country mansion. So John Banville wrote a screenplay. Anyway, we just have to remember The Last September. It is by Elizabeth Bowen, and it's a novel published in 1929, and it is about Irish War independence. That's all we have to remember in any country. And we also have to understand there is Empire trilogy, and that Empire trilogy is quite famous for J.G. Farrell. And as I said, it has like 4, all the options are there, right? So we have to talk about only Anglo-Irish War. So Troubles here is again about Irish War, but the siege of Krishnapur is actually talking about India, so it cannot be. So through that we would have answered this question. I hope you got it, and tell if you by these explanation if this question is clear. Just write clear. If this question is clear, write in the chat box quickly clear. So we'll just move to another, and a little bit introduction about the siege of Krishnapur. It is inspired by an event which happened in Kanpur and Lucknow, and the book details the siege of fictional Indian town Krishnapur during the Indian Rebellion of 1857 from the perspective of the British resident. And the Singapore Grip is by it was published in 90 of course J.G. Farrell, and it is Empire trilogy, and it was published in 1978, a year before his death. So in 2015 the Straits Times. Anyway, just we have to remember Empire trilogy. So other explanation, Sinclair the Divine marked her first major success in England and the United States. The novel described the lives of artists. So The Divine Fire is about an artist, and by Sinclair, which was published in 1904. And Black Bartlemy Treasure, and which is by Geoffrey Furnell, Martin Consby, Lord Borange, all 5 years of slavery. Anyway, question number 58 is here in your screen. Who is the author of the essay Three Women's Text and a Critique of Empire? So first of all, we have to see in the question that Three Women's Texts and a Critique of Imperialism. So it is about feminist work, but not all about feminist, but also about imperialism. And who is the person who talked about post-colonial thing, and also feminism is there. So it could be Meena Mukherjee. Cannot be, because Meenakshi Mukherjee, because she is a writer. I mean, she is not like theorist and other, right? And Ania Lumba can be, Susan Mayer can be, but they might be feminist, but or they might be post-colonial, not feminist also. So in that way you can judge. And as I said, Three Women's Text and Critique of Imperialism, which has already given, answer has given in the option itself, by Gayatri Chakravarti, and simple. Got it? So through little bit knowledge about author's biography can really give you good. I mean, you might be able to find the answer from. You can extract from it. So anyway, question number 59. Find out the correct sequence of the publication of the following books. And this is the book about. This is a book about V.S. Naipaul, right? And we have to find the correct order. So all are the same option. India Wounded Civilization, A House for Mr. Vishwas. We'll just create mnemonic for that, so you will remember all. And V.S. Naipaul is quite very much like most important author. I mean, like Salman Rushdie, V.S. Naipaul. And why Naipaul is important, and also if you want to do research, you can also do from Naipaul, because he has written varieties type of literature there, and mostly about like culture and all, like what is happening in India and his travel. So these things are important. And V.S. Naipaul, you should I think there is many interview about V.S. Naipaul. So after the exam, when you get time, you should definitely go and watch his interviews, and where he talked about the cultures, and what he finds when he comes to India, all these things. And it is not like he's criticizing India, but he is telling about it. And most of his work you'll find like criticism about India mostly. but political based, not by cultural but by political. So that's why VS Nepal work comes, I mean, it's quite important. And as we said here, a house for Mr. Viswas, India, an area of darkness. So darkness, civilization, and mutiny. Or we can just create a mnemonic for that. So you will just create mnemonic for all his work. In fact, we need to understand all his work in chronological order, and also all the work. So let's see what kind of, just give me a minute, can we create like VS Naipaul is a mystic writer who who suffered an injury in Mughal Street near a house for Mr. Biswas, uh, and he got help from Mr. Stone Knights, who is actually known as the Mimic Man, and he is from an island which is a free state, and there lives gorilla in the banks of in the bank or near the banks of the river. So in that way we can really create a mnemonic. So see how we can create a story through that. And do you want me to write the mnemonic of VS Napol's work in chronological order here in your chat box? Write yes in the comment box if you want. We're gonna do that. Write in the chat box quickly. One mnemonic that I have sent you in your chat box, you can just check. Mnemonic is here. My mystic suffrage leads to a house of Mr. Stone, mimicking a flag in a free state. Gorillas bend the enigma of arrival, finding a way in the world for half alive with magic seed. Did you like the mnemonic that I have sent you in your WhatsApp too? And this is: my mystic suffrage leads to a house of Mr. Stone, mimicking a flag in a free state. Gorillas bend the enigma of arrival, finding a way in the world for half alive with magic seeds. So one day we will have a class on mnemonic. I mean, all important authors which are important in exam, and that class you should definitely attend, and there we will create mnemonic for important authors which are important in that exam. So here in your WhatsApp group I have posted, and that is: my mystic suffrage leads to a house. And I hope you will understand. Do I need to explain which work belongs to which? I mean, which mnemonic belongs to which? So we'll just I'll tell you. My mystic suffrage, I said, it's the first work, right? No, the mystic measure is the first work, and the second is the suffrage. So in simple, my mystic suffrage, where and the leads to a house. So Mughal Street is Leeds. Okay, leads to a house. Got it? And of Mr. Stone, of Mr. Stone. Mimicking is a mimic man. A flag in a free state. Everything has come. And gorillas bend the enigma. So gorillas, got it. So here gorillas bend the enigma. So we just got all three work in just small word, and we had finding a way in the world, finding a way in the world for half a life with magic seeds. I hope you got it. Tell me if you like the mnemonic. So through that we'll just understand the order of the work. So one more time, you want me to do it, or you can just remember. Anyway, the mnemonic is there in your screen. Question number, this is all about fiction, and we have non-fiction of V.S. Naipaul. An area of darkness, India wounded civilization. You just know the date. 1964 was the date of publication date of An Area of Darkness, and the India wounded civilization, and at the end 1,000,000 mutinies now. So these are quite important work, and only these works are important. If you see the all the things, it is not only An Area of Darkness, A Wounded Civilization, and India mutiny. Now we can just create mnemonic for that too. I'll just give you non-fiction mnemonic as well. So only they are going to ask about that, not more than, I mean. So first is the area of darkness, right? And we have second, the India wounded. You just keep looking at the chat box. I'm going to make mnemonic for that. I mean, I have somewhere. We can just create a mnemonic for that. For non-fiction, we have already created for the fiction. Now we have to create for non-fiction. Okay. This. So one mnemonic we've come up with. Darkness envelops a wounded civilization, steering a million mutinies. So I hope this will help you to remember the order and the works of V.S. Naipaul. I have posted this in your WhatsApp group. You can just see, and also in chat box you will find that also. Got it? We have already 40 minutes we have covered. Now we'll just move quickly to the question number 60. So darkness envelops a wounded civilization, steering a million mutiny. So this is mnemonic for V.S. Naipaul non-fiction. And for the fiction we have created, my mystic suffrage leads to a house of Mr. Stone, mimicking a flag in a free state. Gorillas bend the enigma of arrival, finding a way in the world for half a life with magic seeds. Got it? And below are two statements, one labeled as assertion and the other reason. This time we have to find which one of these are correct, if both, if they explain the statement one or not. So this is in the light of the above, we have to answer. Insofar as we are taught how to read, what we engage in are not text but paradigm, and we appropriate meaning from a text according to what we need or desire, or in other words, according to the critical assumption of predisposition we bring to it. And here both are correct, and our reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. And here 61, the Deserted Village by Oliver Smith is about what? Critique the rural institution? Definitely not. It was not. It was actually about that people were moving, and also they had we'll just know better in the explanation. So does it advocate the urbanism over rural backward, or reflects upon different views on the human soul, or voices revolt of the individual man against institution. So explanation, the Deserted Village, as we know, is by Oliver Goldsmith, and you should remember the date because you might find you might question regarding to arrange this in chronological manner. So for that you have to remember the date as well. And again I said it is a poem by Oliver Goldsmith, and it is a work of social commentary and condemns a rural repopulation and the pursuit of excesses. So remember that point, that it's quite important. Social commentary. So this Deserted Village is actually a poem where it give comment on social and actually condemns rural depopulation. It's actually talking about depopulation. It is not actually critiquing the rural institution, but it is criticizing what? Condemns depopulation, like people are moving to the bigger or cities from the village, and the pursuit of excessive wealth. So that was his commentary, and the poem is written in heroic couplet and describe the decline of a village and the immigration many of its residents to America. And in the poem, Goldsmith criticizes rural depopulation, again the same thing, the moral corruption found in towns, consumerism, enclosure, landscape, gardening, avarice, and the pursuit of wealth from international trade. So the poem employs, in the words of one critique, deliberately praise obscurity and does not reveal the reason why the village has been deserted. So that's what actually the meaning of the deserted village, that the people are moving to the cities. And as he said, Goldsmith criticizes actually depopulation and says in town why people are moving if the towns has corruption, consumerism, enclosure, and all these flaws. Question number 62. I think if you have attended our last class on criticism, you might be able to answer this easily. So Plato's, actually it is about poetry. Again, if Anjali or Priya or Nitish or anyone is there, you can answer this easily because we have studied Plato's very well. And the question is about the objection against poetry. Does he say the poet is an imitator? or the poet is incapable of bravery. The poet, by fueling passion and emotion, weakens the reasoning capacity of citizens. The poet is less responsible. The poet has no knowledge of the world. You will be able to answer if you know. Of course, one thing is, by fueling passion, emotion weakens the reasoning capacity. So these were the reason why actually Plato banished poetry from his ideal state. That you will answer, and the option is, of course, C is there. She is in one option, only one place, and that is your answer. A is, the poet is an imitator. It is true, because it doesn't represent reality. It's kind of lie, so that we can easily check. And the poet is incapable of people. Of course, he says about the poet is incapable of bravery. He doesn't have like a real knowing reality about the world. So ACE, so B is not there. ACE, the poet is less responsible. Sorry for the mistake, it is answer ACB. Okay, C is always there in one option. We could answer this correctly. Anyway, the correct explanation we have all about that, whatever we have discussed in our, will have little bit depth now, because as we have already studied Plato, we'll just study this explanation as well, so we'll gain more knowledge what actually complete talk was about. Poetry was about. So Plato attacked poetry along with the forms of what he called mimesis. And according to Plato theory of mimesis, imitation, the arts deal with illusion, which is imitation of an imitation. So that word is very important, imitation of an imitation, like they are twice removed from reality. And as a moralist, Plato disapproved of poetry because it is immoral. As philosopher, he disapproved of because it is based on falsehood. Again, mother of lies, all is talking about. He believes that philosophy is better than poetry. Of course, he said, because a philosopher deals with ideas, truth, and poet deals with what appears to him, illusion. And he believed that truth of philosophy was more important than the pleasure of poetry. He argued that most of it should be banned from the ideal society that we have already studied. In book 10, Plato revisits the question of poetry in more detail with astonishing result, for he finds poetry unacceptable together in his ideal republic. Simple, same message. Poetry, again he says, is the lie, and it is actually removed from the reality, not once but twice. And poet doesn't teach us anything. According to Plato, poetry has nothing to teach us, and no one is better governed or knows more about generalship. Because of Homer conveys no practical or theoretical information. Poetry is ignorant about the thing described. And does the painter of Smithy know it's like he compared poetry as the painter, because it is removed from the reality, not one but twice. Poetry is not only ignorant but dangerous, for the spell of rhythm and song is so convincing that this description, which holds no truth but is simply an ignorant representation, seems like the truth itself. Again, last 3 points we have. Poetry is ignorant and dangerous to the soul, since it produces a wrong emotion, interferes with the striving. So these are the reason why he actually banished the poetry from his ideal state. So for Plato, the experience of pity is directly pleasurable and inappropriately so in the context of tragedy. So according to him, poetry fosters those passion. When in sum, Plato's 4 arguments are there. Plato compose under inspiration and not by using reason. See, so we have so many things about Plato here. So poetry is ignorant about what it teaches and thus teaches the wrong things, and it should be banished. So poetry is mimesis, again twice removed from the reality. not only once, but that's why this poem becomes like my message or a lie. So poetry encourages the wrong emotion in the audience. So again, poetry is tossed out of the republic, but with the challenge Plato has now raised the question, why representation of people suffering a pleasurable experience. Moreover, he has linked this to the irrational side of one's being. So this is all about Plato here. We studied quite a lot about Plato. I hope you will not make mistake in the exam if they ask a question regarding Mr. not Mr. Sir or anyway, Plato. So here is the quote, and you have to find who is written. So it is significant that the productive capabilities of the third is, so with the answer third space, he's talking about third space. Third space is by Homi K. Bhabha. Simply you will just answer, and you just move with the your first instinct. Don't think or too much about the question, and if you do that, you will confuse yourself, and eventually you will mark the wrong option. So this above line was written by Homi K. Bhabha, and we have little explanation about it. As we know, third space is what? When you create a separate society, right? Separate space for yourself or for some community. Like it is attributed to Homi Bhabha. Third space theory explains the uniqueness of each person, actor or context as hybrid. And remember, the third space theory was first proposed by Edward Soja. So it's not only the Homi Bhabha. Homi Bhabha actually expanded it, but it was first mentioned in Edward W. Soja. It's very important to know because sometime they will ask a question. Sometime they have already asked from it. And again, we need this to remember this. The third space actually expanded by Hoba, but first concept used by Edward Soja in simple. So again, third space is what? Suppose you have, like, some people are actually, you can say, separated from the society. Suppose they create their own society, like they are not accepted in main society. Suppose you can just LGBT group, right? In LGBT group, they are not welcome in the society, right? These days they are accepting, but through that they create their separate society, and that separate society where they can just do whatever they want, and that they create the third space for each other. And third space not only comes through that, but also through your mental state, how you create your own society. So that will be your third space. And there is one talk in TED Talk that you can just watch, and it's like 15 minutes and talking about third space. One African girl who experienced this, and she talked about the third space there. Anyway, question number 64. Kimberly Crenshaw term intersectionality is quite important these days. This term is widely used for what? Intersection. So intersection is used for what? You have to answer. And actually intersection means is how interlocking power system affect those who are marginalized society. So again, they are talking about marginalized, and simple we can just put it could be sorry, I was just looking at the answer and it seems it's not there. We'll just judge by that. We have the option how interlocking power system affect those. So here talking about power, so of course D is there. Where is D? D, it seems, is all. We can just eliminate the second. we are left with that. So the next question is, this term is by, of course, uh, Kimberly Crenshaw, and that was coined in 1989. And it is, of course, if it is talking about the marginalized society, it can be racial as well. So DB is where in two option, this we can element. So BD, A is talking about academic deterioration, that cannot be. And again, the discrimination against black women cannot be explained, misogyny and racism. So again, racial is there. So race, power and identity politics. So B, D, E can be the answer, and we can just simply choose the answer. I hope you understand about intersectional. Question number 65, who among the following is not a recipient of Nobel Prize? And you have to find in literature. Remember, Nobel Prize, they all won Nobel Prize, but you have to find who won in literature, is not a recipient, who is not the recipient. So in literature, and we know T.S. Eliot won Nobel Prize in literature, and Winston Churchill, of course, is there. So these two people, W.H. Auden made Madame Curie. So Auden didn't win any Nobel Prize. So, and Madame Curie was actually won in, I think, physics or something. Physics, yeah, and chemistry. So she won in chemistry, and he didn't win Nobel Prize here. W.H. Auden. Got it? So that was quite easy question. You would answer this. All right. Well, you see question number 66 in your screen, and you have to answer the match the following. Simple as that. If you never remember one word, you will answer this correctly. So list 1 is about the work, and list 2 is the associated author of the list first. So you have to find the answer. I'm not gonna show you the right answer. So you have to tell me right now. Gender and nation. Gender and nation, quite famous, right? Very famous. Tell me who wrote that, Gender and Nation, and you are going to get the question from that itself. Gender and Nation is, tell me who wrote it. Very famous, and Du Bois, right? Gender and Nation, he talked about not Du Bois, Neera Yuval Davis. So it was Neera Yuval Davis who wrote Gender and Nation. And Greek homosexuality is actually by Kenneth Dover. So again we have the subject of tragedy, and that is by Catherine Beslaw, and the soul of a black folk, and that is about Du Bois. So here is the explanation. Neera Yuval Davis wrote Gender and Nation, and offers a comprehensive treatment of gender, nation, nationality, Greek homosexuality. Actually, I was talking about some other Gender and Nation. This is quite different work. So anyway, Greek sexuality is by Kenneth Dover, and the soul of the black folk is by Du Bois. Important name these days. I have come across this name like couple of time in PYQ, and that case you have to remember the work of these people also. So Du Bois, first published in 1985, the subject of tragedy by Catherine Beslaw. List 1, list 2 is here again. First list is about the playwright or poet, and the second is the work. So David Lodge, if you have studied about him, he is known for the campus novel, and one of the famous one is the changing places. So if you know about one person, and of course Lucky Jim is quite angry young man work, so it's Amy's, right? So you know two work, and of course Malcolm Bradbury is known for the History Man, and CP Snow for Masters. So all work in here. I know all the work, and you might also know all the work. But even if some people doesn't know all the work, if they know one of these, they would answer. So it was easy. David Lodge is the changing places one, and David Lodge. B4 is where, B4 is it one place only. You can just mark. I told you, you just need to remember one work in the list. Anyway, A3rd is Malcolm Bradbury, which is the History Man that I told you. Kingsley Amis about Angry Young Man, Lucky Jim, and the CP Snow, which is the Masters. Got it? And it is a little bit about the introduction. We'll just go through it quickly, and then we'll wind up the class, because already 1 hour and that we need to will at least complete 70. So The Master is the 5th novel by C.P. Snow, and in the series of Strangers and Brothers. Lucky Jim, as I said, it's Angry Young Man example, and it is by Kingsley Amis. Remember the date, 1954, and it was Amis' first novel and won 1955 Somerset Maugham Award. The novel, of course, follows the exploits of eponymous James Jim Dickson and a reluctant lecturer at an unnamed provincial English university. So Bradbury's best known novel is The History Man, and it is also a campus novel published in 1975, and it is a satire of academic life in the glass and steel. Changing Places year 1975 is the first campus novel. Again, all are talking about campus novel. So Changing Places 1975 is campus novel by David Lodge. Changing Places, of course, we talked about. Bradbury's also, it's a campus novel, and Lucky Jim is Angry Young Man example. Masters is also kind of campus novel, and you see the relationship between that. This is all talking about universities. So the Masters, so in that way these questions are quite important. These options, they would have asked some other option, right, some other works of the particular author, but they asked particular these actually important works which are actually the setting of these places are in the university. So all these are campus novels. So they might ask about next time they might ask about the campus novel, and there might be all these options, right? A, B, C, D, and some other work, and you have to find which one is campus. So here all the works are the settings is in the university, so that's why it is called campus novel, and that's why it plays important role in your, that makes that very important to remember. So anyway, the consumerism is a major theme in following works. Tell me, consumerism, simple, it is about consume something, about product or some business word is there, some finance word is there. So simple. Death of the salesman. Where do you see death of a salesman? Here in only one option. You can just answer, right? Saint of June of a stock word, through the name we can just answer. So keyword consumerism, and consumerism you find in service in ever increasing. Saint in June, it is about Of course, meat packing plant, again consuming, like something is consuming, right? So simple wages found the earth. And death of the salesman, the tragedy of a man who gave his life to sold in pursuit of American dream. Got it? Other explanation, loyalties, is by John Galsworthy. Galsworthy is known for his novels. All are, and also the drama based on prison and the life of criminal and crime. So that's why John Galsworthy is famous, and for that you should remember. Anyway, Candida, a comedy which is by Bernard Shaw, and why it is famous, because of the character James Morrill and his wife Candida. So, waiting for Godot, about two people stricken, and so anyway, it is French. It was published in 1952 and produced in 15. The Waiting for Godot was true innovation. And question number, the book Women Beware Women was published in the year, very important date. It is actually drop here. The answer is 57. It was not there, so that's why they have given the answer. And question number 70, identify the poem termed as pastoral elegy. What do you understand by pastoral? Pastoral is something that is set in like in a farm, or there should be sheep, or there should be a lot of explanation about the nature and all, right? And we have to find pastoral elegy, and it is about, and it is also asking about the elegy. So Lycidas, is it, or Adonis, or Tiresias, or A, C, D, E? So Lycidas is, and Adonis, and D, Tiresias. Keyword, classical pastoral elegy. Handsome young man, Greek mythology, who's a wild boar killed, and the title was probably taken from the lament of Adonis. So Lycidas is of course about a young man upon a career as clergyman. Milton muses on fame, the meaning of existence. So and Adonis, again it is by Shelley. Tiresias, again it's a elegiac poem by Matthew Arnold, and was published in Macmillan's magazine. And just little bit, it is 10-line stanza form. The 24 stanza eulogies his friend Arthur. So for that, this name is very important. Arthur Hugh Clow, who died in 18. So to remember him, he dedicated this. So he was the model. Arthur Hugh Clow was the model of the Tiresias. Anyway, in rich pastoral imagery, recalls the Oxford countryside. Again, countryside should be mentioned in pastoral. In memory of W.B. Yeats, Auden taps into themes of the life after death and the power of poetry and the human condition. The last in memoriam is by Alfred Lord Tennyson about Arthur Henry Hallam. 71, we'll talk about, we'll continue this discussion tomorrow, and we will certainly finish paper 2022 explanation shift 1 tomorrow. So be there. We'll just meet. Tomorrow is Saturday, right? Okay. Sunday there will be only mock test. So tomorrow we need to finish this somehow. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.